The Sonic franchise has never been one to shy away from its inspirations, especially not in relation to Dragon Ball. Take the two series protagonists for example. Goku and Sonic are both generally happy, confident, sometimes arrogant heroes with a love for food. But when things get serious, they lock in to save the day. Not to say they are one-to-one, as every character on this list has their own unique qualities and characteristics, but in general they share a lot of overlap. Today, we'll be exploring this overlap between Sonic and Dragon Ball's characters and world elements based on my opinion.
Yeah, well, that's just like, your opinion, man.
Note that I'm not necessarily saying one was inspired by the other, or one is a copy of the other. Just that there are some fun visual or narrative similarities between the two franchises, whether deliberate or not. If you disagree with anything here, or if you have your own opinions and beliefs about the topic, then feel free to add to the discussion in the comments. First, let's get through some of the major ones, the Chaos Emeralds and the Dragon Balls, and also the Super Transformations. While having their own distinct differences, the Chaos Emeralds and the Dragon Balls are 7 mystical relics that are stated to grant a wish when brought together.
It's said this gem can transform your thoughts into power. Collect 7, and a miracle's supposed to happen.
In the Dragon Ball's case, this is meant literally, whereas with the Chaos Emeralds, it is more so metaphorical, granting the user immense power to turn their thoughts into action. Which segues nicely into our next comparison, the Super and Super Saiyan transformations. Both are golden, powered-up forms of the heroes that increase speed, power, and durability. While they come about differently, Sonic through assembling the emeralds, and Goku through training and anger, visually and power-wise, there is no denying the similarities. After Sonic Frontiers, they even have a second variation called Super Sonic 2, to match up with Super Saiyan 2. If we include the comics in the discussion, we also have another form of Sonic referred to as Ultra Sonic, which lines up somewhat with Goku's Ultra Instinct. Both are Ultra forms that surpass their Super variants and visually keep the user's base form relatively unchanged aside from their aura. Moving on to characters, in the second Sonic game, we were introduced to Sonic's best friend, Tails. A usually insecure yet genius level fox with a knack for engineering and technology. While not pairing directly to any one Dragon Ball character, it seems clear to me that he shares parallels with 2 of Goku's companions, those being Bulma and Krillin. Bulma holds the smarts and engineering skills, while Krillin takes the best friend position and insecurity of his skills.
What's my problem? I'm paralyzed. If I can't get a hold of myself, I'm done.
Whoa! Chaos! Sonic, help me!
Introduced around the same time, we also have Amy. While her character has changed and evolved over time, she is usually depicted as a bit of a hothead with a huge crush on Sonic.
I bet the reason Sonic stayed back on that other planet was because he couldn't stand to be with you anymore!
Don't strike me just because you struck out with Sonic!
Similar to Chi-Chi, Goku's wife with big temper and an even bigger love for Goku. Meanwhile, both Sonic and Goku are not particularly interested in their romance.
Do I know you?
While Chi-Chi does eventually get married to Goku, Amy never had quite as much luck, and seems to have almost moved on from that goal. Perhaps because Sonic stood her up on their date.
That's the lamest excuse ever! You just forgot about our date!
No, it's true, I tell you.
Moving on to the third part of Sonic's trio, we have Knuckles. This is one of the clearest and easiest comparisons we can make between Sonic and Dragon Ball. Knuckles and Piccolo were both early rivals to the heroes, and belonged to a species closely associated with the relics of the universe, Echidna for the Emeralds and the Namekians with Dragon Balls. Despite starting off as villains, they eventually switched sides and joined the heroes. Despite this, they still often hang out in solitude. Following Piccolo, we come across Goku's next and most known rival, Vegeta, who, of course, aligns with Sonic's most known rival, Shadow. These two are villains turned heroes who share the species of the protagonist while often being depicted as more broody and edgy. In combat, they usually prefer energy-based attacks and suffer pretty depressing backstories. Moving on from Shadow and Vegeta, the other obvious pair is Silver and Trunks. Arguably the most clear character reference in all of Sonic, Silver is a hedgehog who travels back in time to stop a terrible future. Compare that to Trunks, who is a time-traveling Saiyan who's sent back in time to avoid a terrible future. It's even been stated in Silver's character guide to just think Trunks from Dragon Ball. Case closed. Moving over to the villains for a little bit, let's take a look at Dr. Robotnik himself, Eggman. His DBZ counterpart would of course be Dr. Gero. While not being Goku's primary villain, Dr. Gero and Dr. Eggman are both crazy scientists sporting huge moustaches that build numerous robots and androids to defeat the heroes. For Gero, the obvious three are androids 16, 17, and 18. Plus a few more if you count the movies. Not to mention his greatest creation, Cell. As for Eggman, the primary robot built to destroy Sonic is the fan favourite Metal Sonic. Speaking of those last two, I would also compare Metal Sonic and Cell as counterparts. Specifically Neo Metal Sonic and Perfect Cell. As we just said, both Metal and Cell were built by the respective universe's evil geniuses. Both contain the data of the heroes, and they both share the trait of having numerous ever-evolving forms. On the topic of Sonic lookalikes, if we take a step into the comics for a second, we discover the character of Scourge the Hedgehog. In case you aren't aware, Scourge is an anti-verse version of Sonic. Being the reverse of Sonic, all his personality traits are flipped. Where Sonic is heroic, Scourge is evil. Looking into the Dragon Ball universe, we see two instances of an evil Goku lookalike. Those of course being Goku Black and Turles. While Turles certainly fits the spot here, I'm actually going to be using Goku Black here for one fun reason. After attaining his new green look, Scourge also received a new super transformation design. Instead of the traditional gold, he now rocks a purple-pink look, not unlike Goku Black in their rosé form. Now that we've been through a lot of the major character dynamics, let's check out a few less clear examples, or examples that are a bit more of a stretch. I always see Team Chaotix, SBO Vector, and Charmy sharing qualities with some of the human Z fighters, Tien, Yamcha, and Chiaotzu. Tien seems to line up with SBO, being the more serious one of the group, whereas Yamcha aligns with Vector, being more money focused. Chiaotzu would then line up with Charmy, being the small, high-pitched one of the group.
Vegeta! Look! A Pokemon!
I'm not a Pokemon! I'm Chiaotzu! Chiaotzu!
You hear that, Vegeta? It's a Chiaotzu! I'm gonna catch it!
Both teams also show up less frequently than the core cast. Keeping with the human characters, we also have Yajirobe, sharing similarities with Big the Cat. Larger, usually lazy members of the cast who make rare appearances across the franchise, but can really help out when it matters. I couldn't particularly find a good character to match with either Blaze or Rouge, though perhaps Mai could be a decent candidate for either. She's a thief, which would align closely with Rouge. However, in Dragon Ball Super, it was shown that she is also future Trunks' close companion, so she also has a similar relationship as Blaze and Silver. Overall, due to Dragon Ball's pretty small female cast, it's hard to put these two onto one character. I also found there weren't any great similarities with Goku's children, Gohan or Goten, to any of the Sonic cast. The closest I could think of would be placing Classic Sonic as either of them, though this only works on the level of they look like the protagonist, so I'd call it a weak link. One last connection that is just too funny not to mention is that both of their first live-action interpretations were
meow?
less than stellar. Like I said, this video isn't to say one franchise copied the other. This is about showing the fun connections between these two IPs and starting a discussion on which ones were or weren't intentional. Even if something starts out as a reference, it can grow and change into its own thing, separate from the original. But what do you guys think? Was I right on the money with any of these, or did I completely miss? Let me know in the comments. And until next time, happy animating.